Hey guys, this is Abhinav from SkillSoniq. I'm going to show you a quick demo of how consultants can use our app to find their next project easily. As you can see, we help in matching skilled consultants with financial institutions. The way we work is extremely simple. So candidates can log into our platform. They submit a three-step application, which is then reviewed by a job advisor who would call the candidates and interview them for their skills, experience, and education. And once the candidate is approved on our app, they just sit back and relax and instantly get interview offers from banks. So I'm going to show you a quick snippet of the application process. So we have a three-step application process on our platform. Step number one, we ask for basic details from the candidate. So here you can put in, you obviously upload a photo, you put in your first name, last name, your contact details, Skype ID, and a two-line headline. And keep in mind that we give you tips along the way in the application so that you can put in information that's relevant for hiring managers at banks to see so that they can send you an interview request quickly. So here you can see we defined for you a two-line headline. You can put in something like 10 years of experience as a regulatory risk analyst. So that's the basic details in step one. Then we ask you about your desired project. So tell us something about whether you want a BA role or a project manager role. Tell us what your current location is, if you're willing to relocate. Tell us your desired pay, and keep in mind that this excludes margin for vendors. So if you're on the payroll of a staffing company, don't worry about how much margin the staffing companies are going to keep. Tell us what you expect to be paid based on your experience and projects you've done in the past. So let's say here I say I need less than $20 an hour. Give us information about your visa status, whether you're a US citizen, green card holder, H-1B visa holder, and so on. Tell us about your employment status. And this is extremely important for us to know because we would be connecting you directly with hiring managers and banks. You would be bypassing several layers of staffing companies who you may be talking to right now to get your project, but we make it extremely easy for you to connect directly with banks. And in order for banks to hire you, we need to understand what your employment status is. So are you a W-2, are you a C2C, or a 1099? W-2 means that you're open to switching payrolls, you don't really care about which company you're on the payroll of. C2C means you're on the payroll of a staffing company, either a staffing company or your own company, and you want to do a C2C or a corp-to-corp arrangement with the preferred vendor of a bank. Or you're a 1099 contractor, meaning you're a freelance contractor willing to work directly with the bank. Then tell us when you're available to start your next project. You may be on a project right now, you may be on the bench. If you're on the bench, you can click immediately. If you're on a project right now, which is to end in 2 weeks, you can say less than 2 weeks. So that's step one, where we ask you basic details. Step two is where we ask you some details on your skills. So you can tell us your overall experience, how many years of experience you have, experience as a business analyst or project manager. We ask you to give us a bit more detail about your financial services experience. Since we specialize in matching consultants with banks, this is extremely important for our job advisors to understand, meaning what kind of experience have you had with banks in the past. So tell us how many years of experience you have in financial services. Tell us what lines of business you're experienced in. You can simply click any of these options and tell us the number of years you have experience in. Then we ask you about other areas within financial services. So we give you a bunch of options, and we want you to tell us what areas within banking you have experience in. So you may have experience in balance sheet and P&L management, collateral management, credit risk, and so on. And then we ask you a bit about your technical and soft skills. So tell us about some of the tech skills you have experienced in or you have experienced. And you can simply kind of click and tell us the number of years of experience you have. So we've made it extremely easy for you to kind of fill out this application. As you notice, a lot of the options are point and click, which can be easily done from your laptop, phone, or a tablet. Then tell us about 3 of your strongest soft skills. Keep in mind when you're filling out or selecting these skills, a job advisor would be interviewing you to ensure that you actually have these skills. So we don't want you faking any of these experiences or skills. We want you to be extremely genuine, to think through, what kind of experiences you had in financial services, and then to fill out this form. Once you're done with step 2, you hit next. In step 3, we ask you about your education and bit more detail about your experience. So education is pretty straightforward. You can, put in your bachelor's institute, your degree, major, start date, end date. If you've had any masters, you can give us that information as well. Then within experience, you should tell us, what clients you or employees you worked with in the past. What was your title, location, start date, end date, and then give us a brief description about the role. We want to hear you out. We want to know what kind of experiences you had with this employer. So we give you a 150 character limit. And again, for a lot of these fields, we give you tips on how to structure your answers. So something like, here, brief description, you can say I worked as a senior BA to enhance Bank of America's regulatory reporting system and helped execute 3 projects worth $10 million. Another interesting aspect is within each experience, we ask you to describe up to 3 of your most significant projects. And the reason for that is banks love to see projects where you worked as a BAPM. Obviously, when you're filling out these projects, avoid using acronyms. Talk about your role. That's what banks want to know. They don't want to know that you worked with the testing team, that you worked with a QA team, that you worked with a UAT team, and they were the ones who were doing the testing. You should talk about what you did in the project and what was the result. And obviously keep language easy to understand. So here as an example, I say, okay, my project is cost assessment for insurance contractor. What was my role? I worked there as a PA. This was the start date, end date of the project. And then we ask you to describe a bit more detail about your project by using what we call the STAR format. This is a extremely common format used by a lot of universities in helping students describe experiences for their students on the resume. So the STAR format stands for situation, action, result. So within each project, we encourage all our candidates to specify what was the situation of the project, what was the action, what was the result. Describe your biggest challenge in the project. How do you manage difficult stakeholders in the project? Tell us a bit about that. And obviously you can refer to our tips to get some guidance on how you should structure these answers. Once you're done with that, tell us some of the skills, experiences you've gained in the project. So tell us the top 3 lines of business you work with within this project. So here, let's say you say capital markets, commercial banking, private banking. Tell us about the top 3 skills you used in the project. Tell us about the top 3 financial services areas that you experienced, and obviously some of the soft skills you've used. The reason we ask you for such in-depth information on each of your experiences and projects is because when we give you projects, we want to match you with the best projects given your skills, education, and experience. So we run machine learning technologies to identify the best projects for you across 60 plus attributes, and we help you in getting your next project easily. So once you're done with step 3, all you need to do is hit submit. Once you hit submit, we would call you, interview you, and once you're approved, you will immediately start seeing matches for projects. So here you can see a match from Morgan Stanley, and you'll obviously be able to see details that you care about. So you'll see the company name, the title, what the project is about. You'll see the location, how much they're willing to pay, the duration, tentative start date, nature of the project, etc. The bill rate or what the company is willing to pay includes the margin for your vendors. So you don't even have to worry about your vendors keeping a margin out of what you're paid. when you filled out your profile and once you were approved, we showed Morgan Stanley how much you are willing to be paid, and they have agreed to pay you or your company this much, 170 to $179 an hour, keeping in mind that your employer would keep a certain percentage of this bill rate. So you don't even have to worry about negotiating with your staffing company on how much they should pay you, how much they should keep, etc., etc. Um, what we also allow you to do is see a bit more detail on the project. So here you can see project details, you can see the education required, you can see what Morgan requires in terms of experience and skills. You can see they're looking for someone with overall experience 1 year, BAPM experience 1 year, etc., etc. So it's as easy as accepting or rejecting an interview. Once you accept an interview, we would send out an email to you and your hiring manager, and if you're on the payroll of a staffing company, we would send an email to your recruiter as well, connecting all three of you so that you can then take it forward and interview with the bank from there on. So it's as easy as you sit back and relax, you start getting interview offers through us, you can accept an interview. Once you do that, you get your next interview request. So it's very different from what you currently do. If you have to look for a project right now, you'd probably be talking to several recruiters and staffing companies, making phone calls, sending an email, or you'd be going to job portals like Dice or Indeed and applying for projects. If it's the latter, many times people tell me that the contractors end up getting underpaid because there are so many levels of staffing companies in the middle who keep 10 to 15% margin. So here we are connecting you directly with the banks and making the process much easier for you, where you have to fill out your application once, and once you're approved, you start getting interview requests within a couple of days. You can also reject an interview offer if you think the project doesn't work for you, so you can click reject and give us a reason for rejecting. Tell us, if you think you're not the right fit for the project doesn't excite you, if you're not interested in the employer, etc., etc. What this does is goes back into our algorithm and makes it smarter, so that the next project we give you is is a better match for you than your existing projects. I'm not going to do this right now, but that helps us in giving you projects and helping you get placed quickly. So that's all we have. If you have any questions on how to use SkillSoniq to get your next project, do contact us. We're available on 929-777-5455, or you can send us an email on sales@skillsoniq.com. Thanks and good luck.